Hello and welcome to Around the ACHA Men's Division I, the reaction show for the national tournament, the moment you have all been waiting for. I'm Allyson Cummings alongside Dominic Cotroneo, and now Dom, some pretty interesting matchups this year, I would say.
This is going to be so much fun. I mean, if you can bear the cold, which us down here in Arizona can't, and go out to Ohio and enjoy, you will enjoy some great hockey over at OBM rink.
And I would think it's safe to say all teams are definitely going to get tested. I think it matched up pretty well.
It really did, and you'll see a lot of teams that have a chance to really showcase themselves in these playing games, and who knows, maybe make a little Cinderella story out of it heading out to the national championship.
Maybe we'll see who that Cinderella story is, but the first match we're going to talk about here is number 14 Davenport versus number 19 Villanova. What are your thoughts on that one?
Look, I love me a Cinderella story, like I just teased to. And last year, the Cinderella story was the Navy midshipmen, and they came from the same Eastern Collegiate Hockey League. I really believe in Villanova. They've got an attacking forward in Michael Minot, and he's really can distribute as well. He had 54 points, was second with 37 assists too. I really like Villanova making the upset in the first game of the tournament.
Those are some very valid arguments, but I do not think that's going to happen. The simple case, Davenport has had a much more rigorous schedule. They've beaten teams like Liberty, like Ohio, like Lindenwood. Villanova hasn't seen these teams. They're going to come in, haven't gotten their feet as wet as Davenport. I think that's going to be a problem.
I sure hope that Davenport doesn't face a shootout, though, because they have 4 shootout losses on the season.
It could happen. I mean, Villanova is a very talented team. I don't doubt their efforts, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards Davenport there on that one. Now, the next matchup I have, number 15 Niagara versus number 19 Robert Morris, Pennsylvania. Your thoughts?
Look, Robert Morris, it'll be interesting. If they win this game, no doubt it's an upset because we all know about Liberty's amazing attack. With the list goes on with their stat scores, but Robert Morris has only beat one team in the tournament this season, and that was John Carroll, the number 20 seed. So I don't know about whether or not they can really pull it off against Liberty because I think they're just too stacked against this Robert Morris, Pennsylvania team.
Right, I would agree. I think Niagara's going to take it. But a fun fact about how this all worked out, those teams are actually set to play each other at the end of the season, and it didn't happen due to weather conditions. Funny story, they're going to match up in the first round. But here's the reason why I think that Niagara will come out on top. They have their goalie, Parda, a 91% save percentage. He's a brick wall. I was talking to head coach Brzezikowski. He says all the guys are so comfortable with him back there. I think Andrew, Mitch, and Dalton Bew are a very good powerhouse offensively.
Yeah, they're a 1-2 punch really up there at the front line as well for the Niagara. And it's... Look, we saw Niagara firsthand out here in Tempe, and they competed in the second game against ASU, a 4-3 loss to the Sun Devils, but anytime you get a 1-goal loss, like it's coming way out west for them. And early in the season, too, they were one of the first opponents for ASU. They really made things interesting, and I really look to see Niagara. This is a game that they should win.
Right. In Arizona State, the number 1 seed in the country, Niagara number 15, like you mentioned, they almost won, but I caught up with head coach Brzezikowski earlier in the week. Let's take a look at what he said.
So, what is your overall reaction?
It's something we've strived for since day one. You strive to try to get ranked. You strive to be the best team in your league. And you were the number 1 seed going to North playoffs. It's something we wanted. And the second goal was to make nationals. It's our second time in 3 years. And we just hope that we can go there and make some noise. Our first time there 2 years ago, we lost 1-0 in overtime. In our first game, we were 1 and done. And, we're hoping that's not the case this year. So, yeah, we're pretty excited to go back.
And you're facing Robert Morris, Pennsylvania. You had scheduled matchups this season, but it got postponed due to weather. Are you concerned about that at all?
It actually kind of makes it interesting. Yeah, the weather was just really bad this past Saturday. It was the right decision to not put people in jeopardy like that. It would have been kind of interesting to play. And then, knowing who's lined up again. But that kind of gives us a little mystery now that we haven't seen them in person. So we're looking forward to it. They're a good team.
You haven't seen them in person, but what have you been scouting? You have to have some sort of idea of what your key is going to be.
Yeah, and I'm not going to reveal that to you. Yeah, we know what we want to do. And they're looking at us the same way. They're making their notes. They've watched their video as we have. Now it's probably just going to be what team goes out and executes their game plan better.
And as the number 15 seed in the tournament overall, what do you need to do to be successful?
Coming in as a seed like that, things got to fall in place for you. Your matchups, you have to hope are good for you. You got to hope that you can ride some hot goaltending and some timely scoring, and you can't make mistakes. When you're coming in as a seed, 15 or so, you got to play a lot of games to get to that national championship game. So, yeah, things have to break your way. We'll work hard. We'll try to minimize our mistakes and capitalize on the other team's mistakes, and we're ready. We're ready. We're looking forward to it.
And you mentioned hot goaltending. Earlier in the season, I asked you about your goalie, Mike Parda. You mentioned he was everything you wanted when you recruited him. The guys are very comfortable with him. Is he going to be crucial in the upcoming game?
Absolutely. You can't win without quality goaltending, and I think we have one of the best in the country with Michael. Yeah, the team's only going to go as far as their goaltending and their defense. He's one of the best. He's an anchor back there, like I mentioned earlier in the year. We're going to have to ride him out. He's going to have to make some big saves for us. And I know he's up to the task. He's looking forward to it.
And how are your rookies doing? You have recruited quite the depth on your chart, like Dalton View, for an example. Are they excited?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
To be able to come in and go to a national tournament your first season into the program and into the ACHA in general. Yeah, I've talked to all the rookies. They're pretty excited. I think when you're a rookie, you think, oh, yeah, we'll do this every year. So I think, the seniors probably appreciate it maybe a little more because they know, it's hard. You take somebody like Max Island and Pat Ryan, they've been here 4 years, and it's only their second tournament. Where, maybe when the rookies, they're like, oh, yeah, we're just going to do this every year. And some people don't quite realize how hard it is to make the national tournament. But, yeah, Dalton and Stockball and Radwell and those guys, yeah, they're pretty excited, and they're looking forward to it.
And what have these vets been telling the rookies about what to expect?
I just think they're telling them, hey, we got to go out and play our game, play your game, don't grip the stick too much. Yeah, it's a national tournament at that kind of level, but you can't let the pressure get to you. Our guys, comes from good junior programs. They understand pressure games. I think our young guys will do just fine. Our vets will keep them loose, keep them game faced on, and we'll be fine.
Now again, Robert Morris, Pennsylvania does definitely have a legit chance. One thing to keep in mind is that it is single game elimination. 1 or 2 bad bounces or good bounces can go in your favor and anything could really happen, but it depends on those offensive threats. Talking about that, we have Troy Lynch and Kyle Kercheval breaking down some people they think will be competitive this tournament.
Thanks so much, Allie. Well, obviously, Kyle, there are a lot of questions running around the ACHA. Is the dress white and gold? Is it black and blue? Why are there llamas in Arizona? We don't really know. It's been crazy. It really has. We don't really know all that answers, but what we do know are the top 3 scorers in the ACHA right now. Kyle, who's at number 3?
Well, number 3, we have Lindsay LeBlanc. And take a look at the numbers right there. For LeBlanc, he's got 66 total points on this season, 50 of those coming of the assist variety. Now, something to note, 23 of those assists have come on the power play. So Lindsay LeBlanc has been absolutely crucial in distributing the puck for this Flames team and just overall has been a huge part of the offense. Not to mention, he's on an 8-game point streak right now. So, I mean, heading into the postseason, pretty good position for Lindsay LeBlanc. Lindsay LeBlanc, definitely one of the powerhouses that Liberty has. But I'm going to go with number 2 right now, Brad Coburn. And this guy's just an absolute beast. He has 74 total points, only 1 away from the leading point scorer, 52 goals. That leads the ACHA, and also 19 power play goals. This guy's an absolute monster. He's one of the big reasons why Adrian has not lost at home, and he's going to be in that MVP talk. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Yep. But Brad Coburn, he's going to be up there. But who's number 1? Kyle?
He's certainly a goal scorer, but number 1, Luke Cannon. I mean, Luke Cannon has been all over the place for not only Liberty, but just in the ACHA, filling every stat area. What is it, 35 goals, 40 assists? That's 75 points, journalism major, 75 points for Luke Cannon. I mean, the guy's a freshman. We talked about it a little bit earlier before the segment. He's skipped, 3 years? Yeah. 3 years, and then immediately comes into the ACHA and just tears it up. Now, how much of that can we attribute to Lindsay LeBlanc and his passing abilities? I don't know, but Luke Cannon has certainly made an impact.
So would he be your MVP?
You know, if I have to pick an MVP, it has to go to Brad Coburn. We were talking about this because Brad Coburn, the guy scores goals. The name of the game is to put the puck in the back of the net. And Brad Coburn single-handedly has been taking advantage of his opportunities that he's gotten in front of the net. And he's just an all-around goal scorer. He has scored a third of the points for Adrian this year. So I can't think of a guy who's more valuable to his team than Brad Coburn.
And he is the second leading point scorer in the ACHA right now, one behind Luke Hannon. But they still got another game to play tonight. So who knows? I mean, they play Robert Morris, Illinois, but he could easily take that up. Who knows? He averages a lot of points per game. And Brad Coburn, just what to say? He's definitely, and he's only a freshman too. Yeah. If you think about
two of these guys are freshmen.
Yeah, two of these guys.
Luke Hannon and Brad Coburn, both freshmen. I mean, that just shows the future is bright for the
Very
ACHA.
bright. Yeah, but more bright, I think, for Adrian because, I mean, they're going to be losing Lindsay LeBlanc in the offseason. So you kind of have to ask yourself, is Luke Hannon going to be as good as he is now without LeBlanc?
Well, you know, 75 points for anyone, regardless of who you're playing with, is a pretty nice statistic. And I don't think you can attribute all of Luke Hannon's success to Lindsay LeBlanc because it's not that easy just to score a goal. I mean, you can be set up perfectly. You still have to finish the play. So especially as a freshman, I think Luke Hannon definitely deserves some recognition, whether it's in the form of Rookie of the Year or maybe even MVP. I mean, he has the potential. All three guys up in the top three have the potential to be MVP caliber players. And the thing for Lindsay LeBlanc has truly been the penalties. And I think that's held him back from being potentially the top scorer in the ACHA. What is it, 123 penalty minutes, or 117? 112. There's so many penalty minutes, but for Lindsay LeBlanc, that's just been really killer for him because if he spends, half that amount of time that he spent in the box back and on the ice, I think he can make a run at the #1 spot in the league.
And it's interesting to see because his junior year, he only had 56 penalty minutes. So if you just think, if Lindsay LeBlanc cut his penalty minutes that he had this year in half, how many more points he would have, and that could contribute to Luke Hannon's points as well. 50 assists on the year. He leads the ACHA in that. So who knows? If he was on the ice more, I think Liberty could be even more lethal than they are right now. But Brad Coburn, I think, given the fact that he works alone, 52 goals, I mean, yes, obviously other players are going to be assisting him, but doing a lot of the work by yourself, helping Adrian with 30 wins on the season, I think that has MVP talk written all over him.
No, I absolutely agree with you, Troy, and I think you have to just remember it's about scoring goals. And Brad Coburn, like you said, a third of his team's points, that's definitely MVP.
All right, so we got Luke Hannon and we got Brad Coburn, both freshmen. Luke Hannon, 24 years of age, and Brad Coburn, only 21. But Rookie of the Year, who do you think it's going to be?
I think it has to be Luke Hannon. I really do. I mean, he needs some recognition. You can't end this season without Luke Hannon getting some kind of accolade because he really does deserve it, regardless of who he's playing with. I think 75 points, leading the league in scoring, you have to give him Rookie of the Year.
You know, honestly, I don't think I can because if you put it into perspective, if Brad Coburn wins MVP, then he almost has to win Rookie of the Year because he's just that good. I mean, you can just give the title to Luke Hannon, but in my mind, I think Brad Coburn's MVP and Rookie of the Year.
I'm going to disagree with you. We'll agree to disagree.
We'll agree to disagree.
Both are great.
Both are
really
great pairs, both powerhouses in the ACHA. But we're about to send it right back to Dom and Allie.
Well, Luke Hannon and Brad Coburn, both definitely worthy contenders, I would say. But before we're going to transition to our next matchup, I actually have a package coming from Colorado. Our friend Joe Paris out there filmed some B-roll for us, got some interviews to talk to this team and their new coaching staff. We're going to send it over to that right now.
With their first year on the coaching staff, Jeff and Andy Nightenbach took the Buffs to the national championship after finishing 40th last season.
Anybody in the top 20 is going to be a good hockey team. You know, the guys that got the auto bids, they won their league. You know, even if they weren't ranked in the top 20, they still won a bunch of games. So I think it's going to be a hell of a game. It's do or die. You know, you could be going home after one day. So hopefully our guys give it all they got and make it to the next round.
Yeah, there's really, like Jeff said, do or die. There's nothing to hold back. Go out there. You know, everyone works hard. I think we're going to find success at the national tournament. I don't care if we're playing Buffalo or ASU. You know, we got to go through. You got to go through the best to win the thing. So that's what we're going there preparing to do.
The Nightenbachs revamped this year's team, and Colorado is now heavy in freshmen. which they believe will be an advantage.
Yeah, it was good for us. It was a good result. We started out with a lot of different guys than we had last year, and coming in, they didn't have a great record, so we figured we needed to change things up. So I think we have 19 freshmen on our team, and we'll have those guys for hopefully the next 4 years if everyone can stay eligible. So for us, it was a good result.
Okay, so number 16, Colorado, and number 7, the University of Buffalo. Now, I don't know about you, but I am very excited about this matchup, really because it's newcomers versus veterans. What do you think is going to happen?
Dude, anything can happen when you got newcomers. I mean, because they don't know what their role, I mean, not saying role, but I'm saying they don't know where their rank is on the hierarchy of the ACHA. They don't care. They're just going to come out and play hard. I like Colorado in this matchup. Yes, I know Buffalo won their division in the NECHL, and Colorado coming from a completely different spot in their rankings of the WCHL, but that conference is flat out loaded. Not because of the Sparky and the pitchfork over my shoulder, but still. I really like Colorado in this because they're competitive in every game they play in. They've made their tough opponents really work to get their wins. And also, this is one thing that's irked me is why isn't Colorado State made it? Because they defeated UCO, and they finished ahead of Colorado in the rankings. So who knows, but I still got Colorado on this one because it's just they come from a battle-tested conference, unlike Buffalo.
And I've been really wavering back and forth here on the situation. You look at Buffalo, they have 10 seniors graduating. They really, really want to win for those seniors. But then you look at Colorado. This team finished 40th in the country last year. They get the Knighton box on the coaching staff, and all of a sudden they make the national championship and as the number 16 seed. And plus, this team is very heavy in freshmen. They're doing it with that young team. So is it going to be the freshmen that take the lead or the veterans? Where Buffalo gets in trouble is in the penalty minutes. They have racked up a lot of that. If they give that leeway to Colorado, it will not work because Colorado has really good goaltending in Alex Palumbo. So I think because of Alex Palumbo, I'm going to side with Colorado as well, but I really am wavering on that one. I'm really excited for that matchup, to be honest.
It's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be one of the marquee ones of this first 4 to get in my opinion. I think that's going to be the one. If you can only make one, that's the one you want to watch.
You definitely do. It'll be the Thursday game as well. But I got to catch up with Coach Valvo for Buffalo. Take a look at what he said right now.
So first of all, you guys are number 17. What's your reaction to being ranked number 17 and playing Colorado?
Well, we're really excited about it. We knew we were right in the middle of things for a couple weeks now, and we had a couple games that we struggled. That made a difference. So we knew our ranking was slipping from 14 and 15, and we were going to be right in the thick of it. So we're really excited that we get a chance to play such a great school in Colorado, a team that's played a lot of great games, played top competition, so we're looking forward to facing them.
And during those really tough games, what did you tell your team to keep pushing forward?
Yeah, it's kind of hard that, every game is so important to teams like us that are, in that middle of the rankings. Either we need to beat teams that are lower ranked than us by a lot. We need to play the teams that are similarly ranked to us to close games and try to win all of them. So it's kind of weird that it puts a lot of pressure on us to compete every day, even with games that we should easily handle. I think it's difficult sometimes.
Right. And you haven't seen Colorado this season, so what exactly are you expecting from them?
Well, we know that they got a couple new players at the break. We know that they're big, they're fast. The goaltending's good. We're expecting a really good team, and we're going to have to step up our game and play with some speed and some physicalness in order to compete with them. But we're looking forward to the challenge.
And have you started scouting them yet?
I've watched some videos. I'm sure they've watched some video of us. We just got done with our playoffs on Sunday. We played 3 difficult games over the weekend, 3 days in a row. We gave the guys maintenance day to day, and we're going to get back at it tomorrow morning.
And what do you think the biggest obstacle will be in this tournament for you guys, and why?
Well, we haven't seen most of the teams that we're going to be playing. I think that's our biggest obstacle. We haven't seen Colorado live. It's one thing on tape, but to see them play live, it's a whole different story. So just the not having seen these teams before and in person will be difficult for us to try to match up with them.
Right, and what would you say the biggest strength of your team is overall?
I would say our depth is probably our strength. We've got lines that we could put out there in most situations that we feel comfortable with. We've got people that we scratch every week that we feel confident that we could put them in and get the same type of performance out of them as any one of our lines. Throughout the year, our seniors have been great leaders. We have 10 seniors this year, so it's a big number. They've been through a lot of adversity through those years, and they've learned from it. So I think the leadership and our depth is our strength.
And with those 10 seniors and the adversity, would you say this is kind of like a do-it-or-die situation to do it for the seniors?
Well, that's kind of easy to say. You would think that, but I think it's something that we look forward to learning from, playing and hopefully every year getting back to the tournament every single year. That's the biggest thing we want to get out of it.
And going over the stats of your team, you definitely do have depth that's pretty evenly spread between points. But would you consider penalties to be an issue? You guys have a total of over 700, and 2 players have at 100 penalties.
Yeah, there are times that that is an issue for us. We play a few of the same teams up here in Niagara and Syracuse, and in those games, they're our rivals. So penalty minutes can rack up in those games. There are times that we get in some problems disciplining-wise and, with penalties, and we've got to be careful of that. We can't give Colorado any extra advantages in that situation.
All right, now on to the next matchup. We have number 13, Illinois, and number 20, John Carroll. What are your thoughts?
Look, John Carroll squeaked in. We're not going to sugarcoat it. That's just me saying. John Carroll definitely squeaked in. But Illinois is another team that's faced in a tough conference. They faced the real opponents. Everybody in their division made the playoffs. So I don't know how you can pick anyone other than Illinois in this matchup. No disregard to John Carroll, but it's just that I think this is one that they truly are overmatched.
Right, and in my opinion, the CSCHL is the most competitive league in the entire ACHA. I know you can make an argument for the WCHL, but I think without a question, it's the CSCHL. All 5 of those teams really are powerhouses, and John Carroll does have a lot to look forward to. Both Olin brothers on Illinois got to go to Spain for the Winter World University Games, and they were completely fine. They're able to beat Oklahoma, missing these key players. They have great leadership. Eric Cruikshank really stepped up when John Olin was gone. But where they get into trouble earlier in the season is penalties. They really mellowed that down as the year went on. You have James McGee. He had 90 penalty minutes. Currently, right now, you don't want to give John Carroll these power play opportunities. I don't think they will, but that's how they can get in trouble. If you're John Carroll and you're on the power play, it's going to be really important if you want to have a shot.
Well, I still think, though, that if this is the playoffs, now the coaches really hunker down on their players, do not make those silly mistakes. I remember in the championships last year, there were rarely any penalties. It was just high-quality hockey because everyone is so focused in. John Carroll, if they're focused in and they find those 1 or 2 opportunities where the door is just cracked open, they just get one goal in one of those opportunities, all of a sudden, everything's out the door, and Illinois just got to prove that they are the better team and go out and win this game. So, because look, when you're playing high-quality hockey, either team can win. It's about who shoots himself in the foot less, especially in the playoffs.
Right, and bad bounces, good bounces make the biggest difference in these single game eliminations because anything can happen. We've seen it year after year, but that one will be decided. I'm going to side with Illinois on that as well. Now next up we have Kyle Kercheval back with some interesting stats about the league.
Thank you so much, Allie. Yeah, we talk a lot about points and scoring and kind of those obvious stats that you first think of, but first I'm going to take you down into some of the more interesting stats within the ACHA. Boom. Here's the first one for you, the box of shame. Penalties are something that I talk about so much here on not only this show, but throughout covering Arizona State hockey. Ryan Urso of Michigan Dearborn, 123 total penalty minutes, a game-high 22 on February 7th against Kent State. Actually served, like I just said, 22 penalty minutes, so obviously you have to take into consideration that there were some major penalties involved with that those aren't all minor penalties. 38 total points, though, on the season, so he is contributing offensively. But that 123 leads the ACHA for Robert Urso. Now we're going to send it down to Adrian. You look at Adrian with Matthew O'Neill, 117 total penalty minutes, game high of 17. So in comparison to Urso, not so high, but definitely up there. That equates to a 3.65 penalty minutes per game average. And for a guy that's only 11th on the team in scoring, he's definitely taken over the role of enforcer because, well, you can't really give him much else. But 117 penalty minutes, definitely got to stay away from that guy. Another guy we need to take a look at is Zach Olvin with Rochester, a goaltender who's been literally under attack all season. 30 games he's played in, 1,043 saves. That leads the ACHA. Now, while Rochester isn't going to be competing for a title, a .905 save percentage for Olvin, it's not a glamorous stat. It's really not. However, given the amount of shots that he's faced, 37.4 per game, oof, rough for Zach Olvin. So he's been really working hard, logging in over 1,800 minutes as the netminder for Rochester. So those are just a look at some of the interesting, not so normal stats here in the ACHA. I'm going to shoot it right back over to Dom and Allie.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Now we're winding back a step back to Illinois. We now have Coach Fabrini on Skype for our little Skype interview. We're going to send that to that right now. You finished as number 13, first round, facing John Carroll. How are you going to prepare for that going into it?
Well, we actually have a great opportunity to prepare for it this weekend with the CSCHL tournament. With all 5 of the CSCHL teams being ranked in the top 13, it's sort of like a mini national tournament in that we're going to have to play 3 games in 3 days if we want to win. So we're using that obviously we want to win the tournament, but we're also using it to prepare us for the national tournament when our whole season's on the line, really.
And the CSCHL is certainly incredibly competitive. It really could go either way for all of you guys. I actually calculated the total amount of points that you guys have all had combined. 1,604 points. All of you guys combined. So that's pretty intense. Do you think that the ultimate national tournament winner will come from there?
I think there's a good chance. Yeah, I think that I would be really surprised if at least one of the CSCHL teams didn't make the Final Four. I'd have to check. I'm pretty sure that's happened on a pretty regular basis with at least one team being in the Final Four going back to when I played. I would expect, CSCHL teams to be in the mix, but when you talk about the teams on the West Coast and some East Coast teams, there's a lot of really good teams in the tournament this year. So I think it's kind of wide open.
Oh, yeah, and last year, Robert Morris, Illinois, made it to the championship, and they're from your league as well. Earlier in the year, Coach Chico was saying how you guys are really good friends. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've known Chico for a while now, so he's a guy that I look up to and respect and seek his advice on a number of different things. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Switching gears now, back to John Carroll. They currently have their goaltender, Matt Russell. He has a 90% save percentage. And then their top 5 guys have 133 points. So even though they're ranked number 20, they still have a legit chance. What have you really been scouting?
To be honest, we have so much in front of us this weekend. I haven't even really looked at John Carroll yet. But I know that we've had some common opponents. They played Ohio this year. And I see that they've played some other teams of coaches that I know and that I'm friends with, so I'm sure I'll talk with some of those guys too. But to be honest, we're not going to start preparing for them for another week or so. We're hoping to, all our energy and effort is focused on tomorrow night against Iowa State.
Yeah, and so I bet you're happy to have the Olin brothers then back from Spain for this weekend, huh?
Yeah. It definitely doesn't hurt getting your best 2 guys back, so.
Yeah. Did you miss the leadership?
Any time that you lose your captain and your starting goaltender, I think that there's obviously a void there, but our guys did a great job of stepping up, and we played the 6th, 7th, and 8th ranked teams and went 4-2 while they were gone. So, we were really happy with I'm really proud of the way the guys stepped up, and we're really happy with the way things went even without them, and we're hoping to continue that momentum with those guys back on board here. So I think that if we're able to do that, we can be a really dangerous team in the tournament.
And you mentioned those are two of your best guys. So how crucial exactly are they going to be going forward in this tournament?
When Johnny is playing well, he's one of the best players in the country. And Joe being selected as one of two goalies to represent the U.S. in the World University Games kind of speaks for itself. So when he's on, he can win us games and has kept us in a lot of games and gives us a chance to win every time out. So we have a lot of confidence in him. And like I said, with Johnny and now the other guys contributing, we have all four lines. Gotten scoring from all four lines the last couple of weeks. So if we can continue to do that and add our leading scorer back to the mix, we're pretty excited about the opportunity in front of us.
And would you say that throwing the body around and being a bigger team is your team's strength?
I think our real strength is our speed. We skate very well as a group, forwards and defensemen both. I think that we can play a physical game. I think that's one of the things that I really like about the group that we have this year is we can play a lot of different styles. We've won 1-0 and 2-1 games this year, and we've won 6-5 games and things like that. So, I think that we've kind of proven that we can adapt and play the way that we need to play based on situations and our opponents and things. So, I think that we have a lot of confidence in our abilities as a whole here, no matter who we're playing.
All right, awesome. And I know that penalty minutes were sort of an issue throughout the year, maybe. You finished right now with 982. Eric Cruikshank has 81 minutes. Is that more of an advantage, or would you say no?
No. We've done a much better job of that lately. I think that the vast majority of those penalty minutes came in the first half of the season. Lately, we're taking right around 3 or 4 or 5 penalties a game, which is still a couple too many, but much better than it has been. And I think that comes with maturity. We had a very young team. We still do have a very young team. So we're still learning and adapting and things like that. But no, at Nationals, discipline is any tournament play, whether it's this weekend or at Nationals, discipline is so important. Special teams a lot of times is a determining factor when you talk about two good or two great teams. A lot of times special teams is a difference in those games.
And would you say your team plays with a chip on their shoulder?
Yeah, I think that we can play with a little bit of an edge, and I think that we feel like we have something to prove with being not only the lowest ranked team in our league, but again in the play-in game. We think that our resume is a little bit better than some of the teams that are ranked ahead of us, but there's obviously nothing we can do about that now but go out and prove to everybody that we're better than we're ranked currently.
And assuming you guys do get past John Carroll, the winner of that game gets Robert Morris, Illinois. How intense would that be? Both of you from Illinois won, but also CSCHL competitors.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we could potentially go all the way to Ohio to play a team that's only 2 hours away here. But, every game that we've played against them this year has been close. We won a 1-goal game there and a 1 or a 2-goal game here, and they beat us in overtime and in a 1-goal game here where they scored late. So every game's been a great game, and they've all been very different in the way they unfolded. So if we're lucky enough to get past John Carroll and play Robert Morris, I'm sure it's going to be a great game, and there's a lot of familiarity between our team and theirs. A lot of these guys grew up playing with and against each other, so that just adds to the whole atmosphere, I think, in the environment of the game. And that would be, if we're able to get past John Carroll, I think that could be one of the best first or second round games, whatever they call that now.
And because you and Coach Adradas are good friends, it's normal for the players to talk back and forth, but would there be some talking back and forth between you guys during the game?
No, probably not. It's funny, him and I, a couple weeks ago, were texting about trying to avoid each other in the national tournament. So, obviously it works out that there's a chance that we're going to play each other. So, I'm sure we'll talk before the game, and I really don't expect to talk to him at all during the game, maybe just in passing. But again, I think there's a lot of mutual respect between our two programs, and again, I have a lot of respect for him and the job he's done with that program. They've come a long way from where they were before he took over. Before he took over, they really didn't have much going, and he's built them into a perennial powerhouse here. So I think he deserves a lot of credit. So again, I just think it's going to be a great game, and we're excited to potentially have that opportunity.
Right. So the entire national tournament, you're going to be just in the zone then, just focused.
No. I love watching games. So whether it's for scouting purposes or just as a fan, there's a lot of guys, a lot of coaches that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years that I'm friends with who, I'm sure will come and watch us play, and I'm planning on watching their games if we're still around. So, I'm excited. I love the national tournament. I think it's a great 4 or 5 or 6 day stretch with some great hockey. So, I'm going to be focused, but it's going to be a lot of fun too. You can't get too wrapped up in it, so you definitely have to enjoy it. And we're hoping to have a long run there. So.
All right. Well, always good talking with Coach Fabrini. He's such a character.
He's great. I love talking to him before the games here at Tempe. So, and a lot of these coaches are a lot of fun to talk to, and as you've seen so far on the show, and we got plenty more coming.
Oh yeah, and the first thing he said was, "How is the freezing cold rink of Oceanside Ice Arena?" Because anybody who's ever played over here at Arizona State knows that rink can get pretty cold.
It's relief, quite frankly. We can't complain. We're in no position to complain with some people watching in certain parts of the country right now on this show. We can walk outside in what we're wearing right now, not so much everybody else right now.
It may or may not be in the 70s, but besides the point, we're now going to move on to number 6 Ohio versus number 11 Liberty. Dom, what do you have?
Ooh, this is going to be a good one. If you like a perfect matchup, an amazing offense going up against an amazing goalie, this is going to be an incredible game because we really get to see the test made for the Bobcats. This is a interdivision matchup, or excuse me, not an interdivision matchup, but we really get to see the chance now for Ohio to step up and really face a high, potent offense with the Flames. We already talked so much about these guys with the MVP race. I switch every day on this because I'm a believer in defense and goaltending wins you championships. I think Liberty, though, has too much ammo to let this one get out of their hands, and I picked the Flames in this one.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to take Ohio. I said Dom is going to take Ohio. I took Liberty.
I go back and forth every day. I really do.
Yeah, no, I was pretty close to picking Ohio as well. They're 2-0 over Liberty so far this season.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going to take Ohio. All right. But I said I'm going to pick Liberty under these circumstances. Liberty plays disciplined because they have Luke Hannon, they have Lindsay LeBlanc. Now, fun fact, all the goals that Liberty did score against Ohio early in the season did not come from those two guys. So Ohio does a really good job scouting Liberty's talent that way. But where Liberty gets in trouble are those penalty minutes. You heard it from Kyle and Troy earlier. You have LeBlanc in the hundreds. They can't be doing that because Ohio is such a powerful and strong team. And I love Coach Hogan. I think he's the guy to really take Ohio deep into the tournament. And like you said, you were wavering, but I'm citing on the Flames if they can play discipline.
Well, look, it's going to be on making sure that obviously you got to keep Hannon and LeBlanc in check. Everybody knows that when you scout Liberty. But these third and fourth liners, those are the ones that are going to score. Those are the ones that you get those unexpected goals from in these playoffs, in these tournament games. If Ohio can just dump a couple in, maybe a hustle play or something like that, dump it off the boards, fire in, get a good shot, you never know. This could be a game that it can go either way. It can end up 5-4, or can end up 2-1. It's just going to be a lot of fun to watch this game because they match up so evenly against each other.
Right, and there's always the smart physicality aspect as well. Not everyone's job on the ice is to go out there and score. Some guys' jobs are really just going to be to forecheck and hit guys into the boards, quite frankly, and Liberty's really good at that. They're a bigger team, and I think Ohio has their hands full with that one. Moving on now, we have number 7, Oklahoma versus number 10, Iowa State.
Oh boy, oh boy. I spent a lot of time talking about the Cyclones earlier in the season here on Around the ACHA, and I've grown to know OU. We've all grown to know OU here in Tempe.
Yeah.
But I still think OU is that potent. They have a great 1-2 goalie punch. They can put a guy in net and know they have a chance to win any night. This team is really stacked, and I'm really looking forward to winning this game and then facing in their in-state rival, UCO.
Right. Well, looking at the stat sheet, Oklahoma has beaten Iowa State 3 times out of 4. So Oklahoma has the advantage there. Where I'm going to say Iowa State definitely isn't out of this is because of where they're coming from. The CSCHL, again, I'm going to reiterate, that's a really competitive place to play. They're winning, losing games with such a small margin. They're really being tested here. And
it's a relatively even seeding because OU number 7 and then Iowa State at number 10. So these two teams, the only reason they're 10 is just because of all the losses. You put that team in another conference, they're going to be way up there. They might win that conference. So this is another one. I still think OU wins this one. I'm pretty confident in that pick because I have OU go pretty deep in my bracket. So look out for the Sooners. Boomer, go get them.
Yeah, I did end up picking Oklahoma on that as well, but you mentioned their 1-2 goalie punch. We can't forget the Cyclones' 1-2 goalie punch as well. And Isman and Cooper, they both have a 2 goals against average, so that's pretty
But
pretty
OU
good.
has the best buckets of anybody. Their goalie and masks are amazing. If you haven't checked them out, check out the gallery on ACHA's Facebook. Just saying. You got to see those. Fernandez, oh my gosh, he was awesome.
So you're just picking them because of the helmets?
A little bit. I have a soft spot for that in my heart. So.
All right. Well, Dom likes the little fashion there. But now, number 8, Adrian. Number 9, Lindenwood.
Another great one. This is something that both of these teams, if they weren't matched up in the first round against each other, in their first games, against each other, they could make a run at the semis. You know, it's a shame that one of these teams has to go so soon because they had such a hard schedule. They were very underrated. They really slid under the radar, especially Adrian. And you look at Lindenwood, they finished last in their conference. And earlier in the season, they started out something like 1-6-1, and now they still made it in the playoffs because that's what rewards you for having such a hard schedule. I really, really like Lindenwood in this game. I really do.
You pretty much just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, if you're going to circle any of these games, definitely circle this one. I was so impressed as well with the depth of Lindenwood's schedule. They started off with Adrian, went to UCO, went to Oklahoma. That's pretty intense. I mean, of course they're not going to do as well per se. Coburn, the leading point scorer for Adrian, has 74 points. The leading scorer for Lindenwood only has 25. But again, going back to that schedule, there's a reason for that, and I think Lindenwood, I think they're a very good playoff team, so I chose Lindenwood in this one.
Neither of these teams are going to beat you by lighting up the lamp. They're going to beat you by long, stretched-out paces of hockey, maybe 6 straight minutes without a whistle because they play clean, they play hard, they play it, the right way. Get your good chances. If it doesn't happen, get back on defense. Make sure you thwart that chance. And just block it, move on. Just keep going. Get those clean line changes in. You're not going to see very many penalties taken in this game. This is the second round game that you got to circle. If you can't make another one, this is the one you got to circle.
Yes, both teams can skate for 60 minutes. I don't even question that. Definitely high energy. But now, number 5, Stony Brook, number 12, Rhode Island. What do you have?
I got to give a shout out to Stasio, University of Rhode Island pitcher for the baseball team. But look, I'm going to let that put aside.
Right.
Stony Brook is a very good team. The Seawolves, look, you're a big fan of the Stony Brook, and I am too, just because I'm really bought in on this team. Ryan Kottkamp's last season, of course, so it's how can you pick against them right now? They're the storybook team of this season.
Yeah, how I see Stony Brook, they have a ton of seniors on their team. They were eliminated last year against Arizona State, and that game could have easily have gone either way, quite frankly. So it really is just going to depend on that. I think they're going to use all that senior motivation, though. They have the fire, they have the talent, and they are explosives. Their top 5 scorers have a combined 236 points. That is insane. They have a fantastic 1-2 goalie punch as well. But I don't want to say, I'm not counting Rhode Island out at all whatsoever. Rhode Island has beat Stony Brook this season, and I'm a big fan of Andrew Sherman, the goaltender for Rhode Island, with a 93% save percentage.
That's huge, especially up there in the Northeast League. So, look, this one, I'm still going to believe in Stony Brook. I think Stony Brook should win this game. I think Stony Brook will win this game. But Rhode Island, they came in and deserved their 12 seed. They earned it.
I completely agree. I think it's going to be a tight game as well, but I also have Stony Brook. But Rhode Island, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up pulling away with it. I really wouldn't.
Go Rhodies.
All right. But now, next up, we're going to send it back over to Troy and Kyle, who are going to talk about some of the top goalies in the league.
Thank you so much, Elliot. Troy, goaltending, especially here at Arizona State, we've been privileged to watch Robert Levin, who, of course, won Rookie of the Year last year and has really picked up from where he left off. But quickly, before we get to the rest of the goaltenders, I agree with Dom. UCO, the goalie masks, 100%. So, Robert Levin, I'm going to get things started here for some of our top goalies in the ACHA. Robert Levin, I just mentioned him. The big statistic on him, those 9 shutouts. He actually has 4 of those in his last 10 games heading into the postseason. So, if you're Robert Levin, you have the numbers, you have the confidence in this point of the year, you are a huge part of this Arizona State team, a team that can score, a team that can play defense, but if you can have a guy like Robert Levin in between the pipes, absolutely unstoppable. So Levin is going to be a huge part for the Sun Devils. Another thing about Robert Levin, he started off the season a little bit slow. Yep. We're a little bit worried as to, okay, is this the Robert Levin we're going to see, the rest of the season? He absolutely has picked it up and has totally fit the bill with what head coach Greg Powers was looking for. So Robert Levin, definitely for me. Second goaltender we need to look at that I would like to bring up, Matt Cooper from Iowa State. He split some time with backup goaltender Scott Isman, who's really not turned into the backup goaltender. He's sort of been all over for Iowa State. So they've used this 2-goalie system. Iowa State, it's been rough. It's not been a great season for them. They're in the postseason, but they're still 2.06 goals against average for Matt Cooper. So he's absolutely been pummeled a lot like Zach Olvin has been for Rochester. So we need to point him out, though, because he's absolutely earned it. He's coming off of 2 great seasons. This is his 3rd year, and he's been a little back and forth as to, okay, are you going to be the starting goaltender for this team? Is it Isman? So back and forth, but Matt Cooper definitely deserves some recognition. He's having a good season.
And the first goalie I want to mention for my top picks, he also splits times, and it's kind of ironic because we just talked about the Seawolves versus the Rams, and that's both of my goalies. Those are both of my picks. We got Derek Wilms from Stony Brook and Andrew Sherman for the Rhode Island Rams. Both were a big part of bringing their team to 30 wins this year. But we'll take a look at some of the stats. And then we got Wilms, 1.47 goals allowed average, 15-2 record, 5 shutouts, 951 save percentage, and 481 saves. Brendan Jones, the backup goaltender, I mean, he plays a good amount too. His record is 12-3, but he only has 1 less save than Wilms does. But then you take a look at Andrew Sherman. We talked about him before, but 33 games played, started in 30 of them, 122, 5 shutouts, 198 goals allowed average, 959 saves, and a 937 save percentage. Those numbers are just absolutely ballistic. I mean, over 900 saves, that's pretty hard to do. And you're taking most of the ice time on the team. And going into this game against Stony Brook, he's going to have to be on top of his game, but it's going to be a close game.
No, and I think goaltending is just a huge part. Oh, obviously, it's a huge part of hockey, but heading into the postseason, if you can get a goaltender hot at the right time, I mean, it can totally flip the script for your team. If you're down and say you're only scoring 1 or 2 goals a game, if you have a goaltender that you can rely on, it takes a lot of pressure off the coaching staff and of the offense. So it's interesting that we've talked so much about these 2-goalie systems where you really don't know who's playing day in and day out. So that just goes to show the great goaltenders in this ACHA and the confidence that these coaches have in their netminders.
Well, we talked about some goalies, but now Dom and Allie are going to talk about the rest of the show. Back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. Now, the top 4 seeds are going to be patiently waiting to see who they're going to play. Coming in at number 4, though, we have Robert Morris, Illinois. And I do have to say how impressed I am with them for finishing number 4. And I know that Coach Chico is as well, because they're such a young team. They graduated pretty much their entire team last year with seniors, including their last year's captain in Chris Seamock. What do you think of this team?
I love their penalty kill. I think they are one of the best teams in the ACHA. I have the number pulled up right here, 87% on the season for penalty kill. So the door seems like it's open. They're going to slam it shut. So they do the little things right. They make sure they're not going to allow goals. You have to earn their goal against them. So I think they're a team. They've got the tougher end of the bracket because assuming they are victorious against their opponent, whoever that may be, they'll have to face the winner of Stony Brook, Rhode Island. Either of those teams have the capability of knock them off. So if they can make it into the semifinals, you will know that this team is legit and they are for real despite losing all the talent they lost last year.
Right. I know in my bracket I have them set to play Stony Brook, and that will definitely be an intense game because I'm also very impressed with the discipline of Robert Morris, Illinois. They are a very disciplined team. If they get a bad hit, they'll hit you back, but they'll hit you back within the rules. They're not going to get those misconducts. They're not going to get some of those stupider penalties. Also, their goaltending, stupider. Making fun of me now?
Yeah, maybe. It's been a long show.
It has. But also, their goaltenders, DiCristofaro and Petrak. Doesn't really matter which one you put in the net. They're both equally talented, and I keep asking Coach Adradas, which one are you going to start? And he keeps saying, I have an idea, but I'm not going to tell you. Either way, they're perfectly set with either one of them. I'm sure the entire team is comfortable with whoever it is in the net.
I feel like Andy DiCristofaro should have been included in that goalie talk. 4 shutouts on the year in a tough conference. I really like his game. I really like how he plays. It depends on who they face, but I think they're a legitimate semifinal, maybe even final threats. It's just because they're going to earn it either way. Like there's going to be no way you can camouflage your way into the Final Four, especially with the schedule they'll have on the bottom of the bracket. So good luck to them, and I think they've got a shot.
Oh, yeah. I know. I like them both, and I think defense wins the championships, and you need good goaltending. And again, doesn't really matter which one you start, in my opinion, but you've heard what we had to say. Exactly. I did an interview with Coach Chico Adradas. I feel like I call him every show, but I always do.
He's a good contact. He has great stuff to say.
Yeah, so we're going to send it over to that right now.
At the beginning of the year, you guys lost 13 guys, and you had the new team. They really clicked and had a very strong second half of the season. What do you have to say regarding how well your young talent has done?
Well, I'm really surprised. I kept telling people, boy, I know we're going to be good a year or two down the line, and it's been a roller coaster of a year. I'm not so sure that we're actually the 4th best team in the nation. Matter of fact, I don't think we are. One of the things that we have is we got, veteran goaltending and accomplished goaltending. And so when our younger kids have broken down, we've had Andy and Tony back there to make sure that mistakes aren't fatal. And I think that's helped an awful lot. But we're certainly very encouraged. Our young kids have all played regularly. They've all played special teams. So both for how this year concludes and the years going forward, we're excited. But we were very, very surprised. At the beginning of the year, the mantra here was we wanted to we want to get top 10. We still want to get top 10, and we still want to be able to compete for the league, and we exceeded both of those goals.
Oh yeah, you certainly got top 10 because you finished 4th. But as far as your 1-2 punch in the net, how crucial are they going to be in the tournament?
Well, your goaltending's unless you've got a team that is a dominant offensive team. You look at Arizona State last year. They were so deep. They had so much talent that while Levin was very good in net for them, his play was not, in my opinion, essential to their success. It was good. It was foundational for sure. So our goaltending must be better, than what a lot of teams are out there, and it's been. So these two guys have been a rock for us, and and they've been that way for 4 years. So we've been very, very fortunate. But they're also our hardest working kids. They've earned everything they've gotten.
Right. And now the very big question, Nationals last year, you lost to Arizona State, all your seniors graduated. Are you seeking redemption this year?
No, absolutely not. It's one year has nothing to do with the other. With 13 new kids, we literally only have 7 kids that have been through Nationals. So it's going to be a learning experience for them. And part of the suggestion of redemption is that there was, some sense that we fell short last year, and we didn't. We got beat by a better team. We got beat by a team that was extremely well coached, and from top to bottom, Arizona State won the title that they should have. We were pleased to have competed as well as we did, so there's no redemption to it. We were very, very proud of our team last year, very proud of how far we went, and so this year is it's a brand new year, and every year the team writes its own story.
Yeah, and these single game eliminations are probably more about having good bounces as well. Games could have gone either way.
Yeah, it's awful. Actually, I wish they were series, but that's the nature of college hockey at every level. It's one game, so there's a lot of pressure in that game, but it's something that all the teams face, and that's why the great teams come to the fore, and again, to me, that's such a great credit to what Arizona State did last year. They led wire to wire, and they were at everybody's sight. So for them to accomplish what they did was, I don't think, as good as they were, I don't think people appreciated exactly how great an accomplishment that was.
Now, after the number 4 seed, mathematically comes the number 3 seed in Minot State, and I know you have a lot to say about this team.
Okay, Minot State, they're one of the teams that I followed all season long. Jeremy Johnson, he is just put in the back of the net. That is his one job, front line. You can't stop him. You really can't. He's the point leader for the Beavers up there up north. What I love about this team, though, is they don't get down on themselves. They had a tough start to the year. They had some tough opponents. Then they rattled off an 18-game winning streak. No big deal. No big deal. 18 games.
Just 18.
They fell under the radar somehow on us, and now they've climbed all the way up to the number 3 spot in the rankings. And I tell you, they've earned it. You look at their side of this bracket, though. They'll face the winner of Davenport and Villanova. Not to, diss those teams. Those are teams that they can handle. And you look next, though, they will face the winner, likely Liberty. So they're going to have some offense to deal with later on, but they have dealt with the offense. And if they have an opposite of what they did here at Arizona State, where they allowed the offense to get to them, they'll be okay.
And I remember when Coach Wade Regier came here to play us, and he was talking about how in the past Minot was a bigger, more physical team. Now this year they have more speedy guys. I think that was an adjustment. You brought up Jeremy Johnson. Big guy, physical guy. He's their offensive powerhouse, 57 points. But then you have those smaller guys like Lyndon Lipinski, for example. These smaller, speedy guys. I think getting this versatility, it can really click.
It really can. And this team, they're dangerous. Minot State, only 2 years removed from a national championship. Yes, they've lost Wyatt Waselenchuk, but Hengen has come in and filled the role superbly. And this team, it looks like they haven't skipped a beat from the talent they lost from last season. Minot, as always, I think they're like the Yankees of the ACHA. They're just always competitive. They're always, maybe the Cardinals, they're always competitive. They're always right there. So
you just got to have the baseball reference in there, don't you?
I got to have a little bit. My mind is divided right now as things get going. But actually, we got a chance to catch up with Coach Regier, and this time I get to say that I caught up with him. So we're going to send it over to the interview that we had earlier this week. Coach, you won the independent division this season with 57 points. Only 9 losses, 10 losses total, one of them in overtime. Take us through the season for us. Did you feel satisfied with this team? Early in the season, there were some struggles, but you really turned it on as of late.
Yeah, this is my 5th year coaching our program, and this was by far my youngest program that I've had to coach. We brought in back-to-back recruiting years of 10-plus players, including this year where another 10 freshmen added to the team. And, I think for us, our early on struggles were showing our youth. We had a lot of talented kids that have played junior hockey and so forth. But for the most part, adjusting to the game, especially when you play against top-end teams like ASU and UCO early in the season. But, you know, I think for the group, they started to mature. They started to understand the college game, you know, change the style, buy into the culture of the team, and we certainly caught fire midway through the season. We had a great stretch of, I believe it was 18 or 19 games in a row where we had a streak going. And I think for us, we were kind of building. It comes to the point now where hopefully we can keep playing well and rolling into the national tournament. But for us, you know, with this young team, there's certainly going to be some adjusting, and that was it early on.
This team, you guys will get ready to face Davenport or Villanova. Those two face off next Thursday. Then you guys will be waiting in the wings next Friday. You didn't play either of those teams. How does a coach prepare to scout for those teams when you guys head out to Ohio?
Well, you know, it's always tough to watch different teams, especially the ones you haven't really played. But, you know, the style of hockey that I've always coached with our program is that we don't ever overanalyze our opponent. You don't want to be looking, because teams and coaches are so much smart that even though if they see that somebody's figured something out or something is caught on during a game, that they make adjustments. And so the way we are is we just need to understand our system and play our style of hockey, which is trying to dictate how the flow of the game goes. And if we play that style, then we have the other team having to make the adjustments to us. And so that's always been the style that I've coached, and you know, that's been a very successful style for us in the last couple of seasons, both throughout the season and then at the national tournament. And, you know, and that's how you prepare for a national tournament, is that you can't look past your opponents or try to pick which one you're going to use. But I think for us, you know, more than anything else, is just playing our style of hockey and our system, which has been successful the last number of years here.
One of those, I think, systems has to be feed the puck to Jeremy Johnson. 57 points, the team leader, 34 goals too. How can you put his production into words for your team?
Well, he has certainly been, you know, the leader offensively for us. I mean, it's one of those players that is very dynamic. He's a catalyst. Certainly makes players around him that much better. And it's our job as a team to try to put him in the right scenarios, right situations where he can be successful. But, you know, he's had a tremendous season, you know, certainly one of the best forwards in the nation. And, just like any other team with a top forward, if he is going, you know, it only bodes well successful for our team. And I know our stretch of 18 games in a row where we had a streak, he was on fire, he was playing well, and you know, that's the dynamic of our offense. And you know, he has played really well, and what had happened now is that it makes teams have to make adjustments. You know, they have to be aware of him on the ice, and when they do that, then it opens the door for, you know, our second and third lines to be successful. And that's hopefully going to be the case at Nationals. And you know, we need to make sure he's in the right scenario. But if he's playing, you know what, he could be one of the best players in the country, and I know other teams will certainly be keen on him at the national tournament.
Also, it looked like in net this season, Riley Hengen, your primary goalie, he had really gave you guys a chance to win every night. He had a pair of shutouts on the season, only 8 losses, one of them in overtime. How is Hengen, as well as Beauchamp, they have really kind of blossomed into fill the role that Waselenchuk left last season?
Absolutely. You know, it's certainly tough to fill the void of former ACHA Player of the Year and a goaltender that certainly carried us to a national title 2 years ago. But, you know, our goaltenders have adjusted absolutely great. You know, certainly Riley has given us a chance to play, and he kind of helped weather the storm, you know, with our young program, you know, early on. And both goaltenders have played well during our streak. And so it is nice, you know, having kind of a good balance between a senior goaltender and a freshman to be able to help them both get better, and also help with the development of Beauchamp, who's had a great season here as a rookie. But, you know, I think also it's part of our culture of our team of playing well defensively, and we certainly needed to make some adjustments. But with our defense being big and strong, you know, it helps with the overall system of our program. So as long as they can keep playing well, certainly if Riley's ready to go, it's going to be an exciting Nationals certainly riding behind him.
All right, now we go into Oklahoma, Central Oklahoma. Coach McAllister, he's got a powerhouse there. He's my candidate for Coach of the Year. And it's this team, number 2. They've had a rough schedule. They've had some tough losses, but they still managed through it. They weathered the storm. They took the ship to number 2. Do you like that ranking? Do you think they got a shot?
I definitely think they have a shot, but first of all, I'm going to challenge you on Coach of the Year and just say that my Coach of the Year is Coach Adradas, Robert Morris, but we're going to go back now to UCO because I think they have a fantastic goaltending punch and Caldwell and Patchett. I think that really is going to be the key. But what I really like about Central Oklahoma is how hardworking of a team they are. I mean, on the stat sheet, they might not be as finesse as some of these other teams, but they will outwork you. They will skate for the full 60 minutes. And if you give them the opportunity, they will capitalize on these chances they are given. Granted, they don't cross that line from smart physicality to dumb penalties.
So looking at their bracket, though, you see Central Oklahoma will await the winner of Niagara and Robert Morris, Pennsylvania.
Right.
So we picked that would be Niagara, if I'm not mistaken. And then, if all goes according to plan, they would face, in the next round, OU. Oh, boy.
However, I got to stop you there because I actually had Niagara upsetting UCO.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Oh, gosh.
But we're getting a little bit too into this right now, but I think UCO has a chance. The only reason why I said that is I had to pick a Cinderella story in Niagara. I like Cinderella stories here, too.
I do, too, but I think there's a limit to the Cinderella story, especially when you face a powerhouse like UCO, though. I mean, that's a serious Cinderella. That's a... Here, I'll get a basketball. That's a Lehigh beating Duke in basketball for you. So I
think UCO is definitely deserving of the number 2 spot. They beat number 1 Arizona State. I am not knocking them by any means. Right.
At home.
I think they are a fantastic team. I just had to pick an upset. I had to pick an upset. You have to pick an upset.
That's not my upset. I picked it early. I picked it in the first game of the tournament.
Yeah, but it's my upset. Okay. All right.
We move on now to the maroon and gold over our shoulders, the pitchfork right behind us, the Sun Devils. Yes. We know this team better than anybody else. Number 1 again, but they got a huge target on their backs. Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
This team, no, it's not the same as last year where you just had this feeling about this team like Storybook, the seniors, the team that built this up, Caleb Lindsay, Colin Heckel. Now
Danny
this
McAuliffe.
team, and Danny McAuliffe too.
Yeah.
This team, they don't have so much of an identity, but it's distributing the wealth.
Yeah.
Sean Murphy, Ryan Belanger, and Liam Norris is just the man passing it to everybody. This team, and still you got Robert Levin in net, the sophomore. I don't know how to gauge this team because they've got an interesting schedule. They could have a rematch with Colorado, which is if they beat Buffalo, and Colorado took ASU to overtime on their ice. So granted, that was over in the first minute by Ryan Belanger. Still, taking ASU on their rink to overtime is an accomplishment to be had. That's a trap game for ASU. That really is.
I can see that. I do have ASU coming through victorious in that round, but what I want to say is Arizona State, they're one of the most scouted teams in the ACHA. Everyone knows what to expect when they're going to play the maroon and gold. Whether or not they can skate with them, a different story, but everyone knows what to expect. Now, the variable is head coach Greg Powers is such the chemist, we say it all the time. He mixes up those lines. I don't know where they're going to be, but some of the lines that have been recently, I've been impressed. The first line, Eric Rivard, Liam Norris, and Sean Murphy. If I could pick an ideal line, that would be it. You have a brilliant playmaker in Liam Norris. Everyone wants to play with Liam. You have Eric Rivard. He's a mucker. He can get into those gritty, grindy areas to get those dirty goals, and you really need that. And Sean Murphy, so fast, so speedy, so creative. Then you can jump to the fourth line. I really love that. Connor Maley, Kyle Bowen, and Michael Cummings. Kyle Bowen, he's so good on the faceoff. He rarely ever loses them. And Mike Cummings just throwing the body around, and Connor Maley as well. I think that line gets the job done, and they feed really well off of each other. But I think it's going to come down to the scouting again. They're so heavily scouted.
It's going to be interesting, but we've talked enough about the team that we know so well. But we have something to show, though, right?
Yeah, we do. We actually have an interview with head coach Greg Powers from practice. We're going to send it over to that right now.
As the #1 seed in the ACHA, Arizona State University knows what to expect this season.
This is the first time we're going in knowing what it takes exactly to win, so we're preparing a lot of the same way we did last season. I think it's a big advantage, and we have the expectation to go and repeat. So we're doing everything we have to do, just like we did last year, to make sure that we're ready. Our expectations are to go and to win the whole thing, and if we don't win the whole thing, there's really no moral victory for us or consolation prize. So we prepare to go and plan to go and stay for a full week and budget for a full week and do everything like we're going to be there Wednesday to Wednesday. You know, so we have the expectation to go and exit the ACHA as national champs.
They will play the winner of number 16 Colorado and number 17 Buffalo. And even though the Sun Devils are ahead in the rankings, it's anyone's game.
You know, and the format that we play in the ACHA is it's fun to be a part of. It's kind of cutthroat and intense, but you know, in a single elimination format, you know, oftentimes the best team doesn't always win. The team that gets the most bounces, the team that gets the best goaltending, the team that stays the most disciplined. You need all those things to go right for you. Last year, we got some bounces. We had good goaltending. We were very disciplined. So you need all those things to go for you to win this thing. And it's not every year. We thought we were the best team last year, but it's not every year the best team wins because of the format. So, but I think that's what makes it so special and so exciting for everybody, is that everybody goes in, you know, thinking that they can pull off an upset or they can, you know, win, and that's what's good about the format.
All right, no llamas running around here in Arizona right now. And is my tie blue or is it white? Can you tell?
It's gold.
I said it was white and gold, okay?
It's gold.
I know Troy might differ. Twitter was all over the place this week, and he has some tweets from the entire season about the ACHA. Troy, what color did you see the dress?
You know, I think it's brown and blue, but everybody seems to be disagreeing with me. I get a lot of weird looks when I'm walking on the street, but, you know, I normally do that. That's just me. But we'll talk a little bit more about the ACHA. They got a lot of great hockey players, so what does that mean? That means there are a lot of great tweets to go along with that. First one coming up, Arizona State forward Coda Ingbar, and he had to say, Britt, keep doing what you're doing. #Bachelor. I mean, what else can you say? Real men cry, but real hockey players, they play hockey. I mean, they watch The Bachelor. I already said hockey. But, I mean, I heard that Coach Greg Powers had a viewing party at his house to watch The Bachelor, and I think he told me that was the reason why they build so much chemistry. But, you know, that's just the word on the street. And then number 2, coming from Gavin Burback, and he had to say, don't send me the same Snapchat that's on your story. #thanks. I mean, I guess it makes him feel less special. I mean, I know that's what I do. I mean, I post all my Snapchats to my story, so I have an excuse to say that, oh yeah, nobody Snapchats me back, but, you know, that's just me. And then the third one, MVP talk, Brad Coburn. His Twitter game is absolutely impeccable, and he had to say, is it acceptable to give up school for Lent? ? I mean, you're a hockey player, so maybe give up school. You might not need it. But Brad Coburn, his Twitter profile is absolutely amazing. He retweeted some tweets from the profile of baby animals. So you get to see cats, you get to see a baby elephant waving goodbye, and you also get to see shocking hamsters on his profile. So I think follow Brad Coburn 11. He's a great follow. He followed me back. That made my day. But that's all you have. Thanks you so much for having me on the show. Back to you guys at the desk.
I think, though, the Snapchat one is 100% true. The Bachelor, though, I have no stake in those claims, though, Troy.
I think we should just give Brad Coburn a warning. What did you get yourself into following Troy back?
Go to your Twitter right now, pull out your phone.
Unfollow.
Go to Mr. Troy Lynch, whatever his Twitter name is. Unfollow.
And also,
it'll save yourself a lot of time.
He should have included his own tweet at Coda Angbar earlier in the year. At Coda Angbar, you are my hero.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're saying. We're trying to save you from this, Brad. Okay, so go hit the unfollow button. He'll understand. He's got the warning. But if you want to follow us on Twitter, your Twitter handle?
At _A Cummings.
And I'm Dom_Cotroneo. Good luck spelling my last name, but you can see it in the description, obviously, below this video. And if you don't mind mindless baseball or random music tweets, as well as the hockey mixed in there, go ahead and give us a follow.
Or you can just follow Troy at your discretion.
At your discretion. But
right.
now it's the fun part. It's time to fill out the brackets.
It is.
So we've gone through, we've highlighted each matchup or each team really. Now we get to actually go through and make our picks. All right, I'll start here, Allie, with my first Final Four. My highest seed moving on will be the #1 seed, Arizona State, despite the news that we've heard about Robert Levin's ACL being torn and he will be out for the tournament. That will be interesting to see how ASU responds with their 2 backup goalies, but I still have them making it to the semifinals. I think there's too much talent on that team to not make it at least that far. The team that they will be facing off against, though, is the Stony Brook Seawolves in Ryan Kottkamp's final season. The Storybook season, we've said it before on this show, 10 seniors. I think it'll be a lot of fun, a really good matchup there, a rematch of last year's semifinal. Now, in my other semifinal game, the 2nd seed versus the #3 seed, I have UCO moving on, and in my bracket, I had them defeating Oklahoma to get to this point, and then they will be taking on the Minot State Beavers. Now, here's the interesting part. I think there are 2 really good goalies in this game, whether it be Patchett or Caldwell, or that's for UCO, and then for Minot, whether it be Riley Hengen or Beauchamp. So I really think these 2 teams match up evenly, and my winner in this one going to the national championship will be Minot State defeating UCO here in the semifinals. Now on the top half, #1 versus #5, Arizona State versus Stony Brook. I think this ASU team without Robert Levin, this is where their luck runs out. He's that much of a difference maker. Yes, they don't have Ryan Ozertag. They've survived this far out of the year without their top scorer from the tournament last season. But look, this is Robert Levin. He was the MVP of the tournament last season. I don't see them getting out of the semifinals. I think Stony Brook punches their ticket to the national championship game, having a date with the Minot State Beavers, and then the Stony Brook Seawolves winning the national championship over the Beavers. I'm sure to be a doozy. I think I'm going to go even above and beyond here. I think the final score of this will be 4-2 with an empty net goal, just as it was last season. But still, a highly competitive, very even game, all the way down to the final 10 minutes of the 3rd period. It will be very close in this national championship game for me.
All right, Dom. Well, we don't differ all that much, but mine's going to go slightly different. My highest seed as well is going to be Arizona State, even though, as you mentioned, Levin with the ACL tear. However, instead of having them face Stony Brook, I have them facing #7 Oklahoma Sooners. And I think that's going to be a pretty intense game. I think Daryl Bolden will break out there, getting to that in a bit. The next game, I actually have Minot State playing Stony Brook. That was your championship game, but that is my semi-final game. And I think the winner of that game will end up being Stony Brook. I think it'll be in the championship, the Sooners versus the Seawolves. I do not think it will be tight at all, but I also have the Seawolves coming out victorious with the win here because of how deep of a team they are. And again, those seniors, they're hungry to win. You can't not go with them.
All right, a little different there. Nothing wrong with that, having a little competition going on between ourselves here in the studio.
Yeah, we'll see who's right, but I think everyone already agrees that I'm going to be right, but we'll see that here. Maybe we're not. In order to find out, we want to see your bracket. So please, tweet at us your brackets.
Tweet at us, tweet at ACHA Hockey. We want to see you. We want to see the outreach of this show and see what you guys think about this fantastic season that hockey has brought us here in the 2014-2015 year. But for my partner, Allyson Cummings, Troy Lynch, Kyle Kercheval, I'm Dominic Cotroneo, saying so long from Tempe. Stay warm, everybody, and get ready for the Nationals in Ohio.